So I would say there are some barriers from different aspects, which is cultural barriers, language and social barriers, and of course some discriminations from the people outside the communities. So another issue that I think we usually came across with like the cultural barriers is many of our clients don't know what is the meaning of child neglect and abuse in the United States, because like child abuse and neglect is also like type of domestic violence, and it's always happened amongst our clients. I mean, I don't mean that like our client would like physically hurt their children, but the meaning of child neglect and abuse is actually quite wide. I would say wide in this country. Like even children witness domestic violence, it will be considered as child neglect and abuse. There's different kind of abuse from their own community, including like cultural normalization. Like many of them would feel like, oh, domestic violence is normal. Like they don't even use the term domestic violence. They would just use that, oh, it's just a family dispute or just a small argument within the family. And like survivors, especially female, they're not able to get a divorce because that's an arranged marriage. They have no power to ask for divorce. Not because I don't love him. I mean, not because I still love him. It's because if I leave him, my family would like, you don't know like how horrible my family and my parents would like criticize me or judge me. I have one client told me that she tried to talk to her parent about the domestic violence situation, and her mom told her that, oh, just be tolerant. Like, do you know how many money we spend on you for you to stay in the US? And for language aspects, I think that's really happens a lot. Is what we see is their lack of enough language support from the society and even from the government agency. For example, it's I think COVID is a really good example. It's domestic violence increased strictly during COVID-19, but because there's lack of assistance and because there's lack of translated material from the government to explain to survivors like, oh, what you can do when you have experienced DV. So many of the survivors were not able to ask for help. So I mean, we all know that Asian hate crime is like very common in this country. Like it's really sad to say that it's common in this country, though. Like immigration contribute a lot to this country, but like many of them are still facing lots of discrimination because of the Asian hate crime. So many of the survivors, especially Asian survivors, are afraid to ask for help. They're feeling more isolated and hopeless because like of discrimination. And we do have cases like our client have been facing lots of unfair treatment from the police. Discrimination is like also objectify and flatten out the Asian, especially Asian women. Like many people or many Americans would like tie Asian women with sex, which of course bring a lot of sexual harassment to Asian and or whoever who looks Asian. I say like because of the discrimination and anti-Asian like hate crime, like a lot of survivors are not willing to reach out for help, which is very sad. Like sometimes we have like resources, we have like providers who are willing to provide help, but when survivors are not able or not willing to reach out for help, like even we have resources like that, it's not really helping them at all. And yes, another thing like which is like turning back to language support is we do need more like
To learn more, share your story, or join our campaign, please go to our website, theemotionalabusediscussion.com. We are also on social media at EA Discussion and The Emotional Abuse Discussion on Instagram.